What is up, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to another episode of AKP Sports Talk. That's RM Korea. Obviously, look, first day of March Madness. The first four obviously commences today. We got some NIT games. I know we're very degenerate. I know. We're just going to get right into it. Obviously, while you're here, obviously, we got some best bets cooked up for you today. Here are I'm going to take one in the first four and one in the NIT. First, we're going to go to the NIT, and this is the 85 rivalry here, and I'm taking UCF the home, taking the -5.5. You can get that about -130 on DraftKings right now. Look, I'm taking the better team at home, and NIT is a little bit of a confusing tale because there's half of these teams who want to play and who want to keep going and end the season on a strong note. Whether it's just they kind of whether it was during their tournament run or conference tournament run, I should say, where things kind of went left and they didn't finish strong. Maybe like an Indiana State was so close but just didn't get there. Or you have your like your Providences who was an at-large but didn't make it, and some of them want to play, some of them don't want to play, and that's why targeting these NIT games to make it a little complicated because you have coaches and players who either you have guys like Ole Miss and guys like Ole Miss, and Chris Beard who just don't play at all. And that's like a game that would have been in the spot versus like and like a UCF. You don't really know how it will, but this is a rivalry game. That's the only real reason I'm targeting this. As soon as the matchups were announced, I kind of targeted UCF at home. I'm just taking the better defense at. USF's a great story this year with Chris Youngblood and Mir Abdul. I think it's Radam. I don't know the last name, but obviously one of the coaches, National Naismith Coach of the Year candidates. Kind of rejuvenating that USF program, and it was a tough loss for the Bulls. Obviously, going down in the semifinals to UAB, who eventually would win American championship tournament. But even though I hate to fade USF, I know this is a big rivalry game, and in rivalry games you just got to take the home team no matter what. And I'm taking UCF -5.5, even though it's the NIT. They're still treating it like it's a big game because this is a big time opportunity for USF. Obviously coming off a loss, but now having a good Big 12 team, and this is obviously no easy cake for UCF as well. They get very seriously. So I'm just taking the better team here. I'm taking UCF -5.5. I think they're the better team. I know that line's gone all the way up to 6. Or 6.5. I around there. I think it's not. I don't think this game's going to get way too out of hand like that. I think USF's going to keep it a little bit competitive, maybe in the first half, but I think maybe their defense hunkers down and maybe spread out in the second half. So that's my pick there. I'm taking UCF -5.5 and one of the few NIT games today. And now we're going to the real tournament, the NCAA tournament here, and I'm taking Virginia. No, it's the ugly play, people. I know it's so ugly, but I'm taking Virginia +3 here. That's around -125 on Kings right now. And look, it's mostly systems, but at the same time, I have a feeling that this Virginia team, a team that did not expect to get in, who was super, super lucky. We saw the reactions from the Virginia locker room. They were elated, celebrated, jumping around like a bunch of I couldn't believe it either. But, well, here we are. Virginia's in the spot. Obviously they've had a couple days to prepare for this Colorado State team. Obviously, Virginia, we know their strong suit is their defensive prowess. Obviously they're one of the better defensive teams in the country, slowing the game down, playing to their pace. And, Colorado's a little bit more of an offensive, team. So this is definitely a tortoise and hair matchup here. And I think Virginia, with the experience with Tony Bennett, he's been in not just this spot, but obviously on the first four, but, an NCAA tournament game, he's been there before. He knows how to win, and he has guys who knows how to win these kind of games. And, no disrespect to the Mountain West, but, the Mountain West is usually a conference that kind of struggles around this time of year, in terms of March Madness. And now that they have 6 teams, both of them, I feel like that trend could continue here, depending on the matchup. Obviously, there's one matchup that we talked about the other day with New Mexico, who we do like to make it out of there. But, in terms of Colorado State, Virginia, this was kind of the one draw that Colorado State did not want, a team that can really slow them down defensively. And that's kind of really what Virginia is. That's what their strong suit is, because they don't have any kind of offense whatsoever. And obviously, you look at all the wins for this Colorado State team. They beat Creighton. They had good wins against San Diego State, and all the Mountain West pretty much beating up each other, all those quad wins and quad 2 wins. But Virginia's kind of sole good victory is Florida, and you look at that and it's like, oh, okay, well, they only won by 3. But it's just, I feel like with this Virginia defense, I think they're going to make Isaiah Stevens really slow him down. It's going to be very slow. And usually, these first 4, first kind of tournament games are usually a little slower. Their offense usually doesn't really pick up as much. So another play I like is to maybe target full game under, especially that first half under. Like I said, these two teams, kind of slow offensively, especially Colorado State. They're definitely a lot more of a second half team. And, we talk about how Virginia's offense is absolutely anemic. I Virginia to cover here. I would sprinkle Virginia on the money line, but I do like Colorado State to probably get a lead out in the first half. Just because I know Virginia's offense is so horrible in that first half. But then, I think Virginia's defense hunkers down and makes it a pretty close and competitive game. Just because with that experience with Tony Bennett, and that team has been there before. So those are my 2 picks today. I'm taking an NIT pick, UCF minus 5.5, the better team at home in a rivalry game, and then Virginia plus 3. The experience with Tony Bennett and that whole staff at Virginia. Even though Colorado State, I believe they should be a little bit higher seeded, because they're definitely a very talented team, but this is a really bad draw for them. So I do like Virginia for the plus 3 tonight. Ari, I know we got some ugly first 4 games, but NIT, CBA, CIT, you look at. Hey, I know tomorrow. I know it's going to be at 3:00 in the morning, but you got a nerf you play for. What are you cooking up for today?
Yeah, it's kind of funny how you finish your Virginia talk, because one of my 2 plays is Colorado State in the first half. And a large part of it is because of, Tony Bennett and Virginia and adjustments he can make at halftime. But I do believe Colorado State gets off to a lead in the first half. Like you said, I don't think Virginia really should be in a tournament either, to be real. But they are. Colorado State, led by Isaiah Stevens, had some big wins, had some ugly losses both ways, in their season. But, I think I don't mind look at the under either, but I just like Colorado State to get off to a small lead in the first half. I do lean Colorado State to pull off a close win full game, but I'm more confident in the first half because, like I said, of Virginia having a coaching advantage and just the veteran advantage, and, just obviously them being here. Obviously, it's a different team than teams in the past, but just them being here before, Tony Bennett being here, and, adjustments he can make in the second half if they get off to a slow start, which they usually do most games, obviously. So I like Colorado State to just do their job in the first half and, maybe lead by, 3-5 in that range. And then we'll see if Virginia can kind of make adjustments at halftime and, keep it closer down the stretch at the end of the game. And then going to one NIT play, Boston College against Providence. Providence, the team that had hopes to make it to the NCAA tournament, and they didn't. And Boston College is happy to still be playing really, postseason basketball. This line has already dropped from Providence minus 3.5 to minus 2. Providence is a team that I was not huge on for most of the year, and now they're not going to be without their best player, Devin Carter, who won't be playing. And even with Devin Carter, they were super reliant on him as a scorer, and without him, they were, even more dysfunctional for the most part as an offense. So I'm, obviously +2 is safer, but I think Boston College has a lot more to play for. Like you said earlier with UCF, and teams having more to play for and less to play for in this tournament, where you missed out on, the real NCAA tournament, and a lot of teams have declined invitations to the NIT for that reason, because they are just pissed off that they're not playing in March Madness. And so just with all that considered, Boston College has more to play for. Providence without their best player, Devin Carter, and even with him, they were not super inconsistent, let's just say. So yeah, those are my two plays: Boston College money line, and then Colorado State first half -1.
I mean, I kind of alluded to it, as you said, kind of at the end of my spiel, about Colorado State kind of getting out to a half lead. And I definitely agree with you there. I feel like this Colorado State team, kind of, like to set the tempo first, kind of establish the tempo of the game. That's kind of what they like to do, with that Colorado State team. Kind of led by Isaiah, the prolific guard who can shoot pretty much from there. And then we talk about how Virginia is obviously one of the better defensive teams, and with that experience from Bennett, that's why I have the full game Virginia covering. I just think, I think Virginia makes this a close game for the full game. But, you mentioned just taking the Colorado State Rams through the first half. You mentioned leaning toward them, but you obviously, I agree with you with just Tony Bennett and, how prolific that coaching staff has been there. Obviously that's a national championship coaching staff in the past. So, no disrespect in any way, shape, or form for there. But, I agree with you, just taking the Colorado Springs first half, just taking, the better shooting team, better scoring team the first half, who knows what's going to happen in that second half. I agree there. And then, you mentioned Boston College. I was looking at that. I was looking at Boston College as well as a potential money line play. You look at, you kind of mentioned it with this NIT situation, especially this year, because, the NIT now completely different. Obviously, years past, we would have automatic qualifiers for all the 1 seeds, pretty much all the regular season champions, win their conference tournament, and they were like a mid-major, they would automatically go there. But now that's gone. So now a lot of teams aren't playing like who deserve to be postseason basketball. And, you have like, some of these teams and who don't even want to play, like Providence, who I feel like shouldn't be playing. They don't have Devin Carter, and this team already looks really bad without Devin Carter. So you really have to depend on Josh Oduro, who can do only so much. And, you mentioned this BC team, they're kind of just lucky to be playing some more, postseason basketball after, kind of the run that they had. Obviously, we talk about, the ACC tournament. Obviously, they almost beat Virginia. They beat Clemson. They beat Miami. They went on this big run. It was obviously electric. It was a lot of fun. And I think this run's going to continue for this. Obviously, I think I believe this was a former Big East rivalry between Boston College and Providence. So, two teams that pretty much have some history with each other from way, way, way long ago. But I do like College here on the money line. You talk about team with the better momentum. Obviously, Providence with injuries as well, and a lot. And I remember, if I'm mistaken, I remember seeing Kim English. I think that's the head coach for Providence. He was just absolutely great with the committee, saying "F this" and "This was BS" and "Oh, I don't care. Your team lost, bro. You were supposed to win. You lost." And I don't know. I like all these Big East teams, especially like in the NIT. I'm definitely going to try to avoid just because I know there's, a lot of players who may not just want to be it because they think, oh, this is the NIT. We don't want to play. As you mentioned, a lot of teams have already opted out, like St. John's and Rick Pitino, Ole Miss with Chris Beard, and many, many more teams. UW, I know more teams have opted out as well. But I do think Boston College is a great look. You talk about a team right now, momentum, who is just lucky to be playing some more college basketball at this time. I like them on the sprinkling them on the money line at plus 136. And then you mentioned taking the better scoring to the first half, Colorado State. I like that play as well. Like I said, I have the full game. Those are always two best bets. Of course, my two best bets for the night, just taking the better defensive team in a rivalry game, UCF minus 5.5 at home. And then, like I said, taking Virginia full game plus 3. Like I said, just backing Tony Bennett in the experience that he has in the NCAA tournament. Those are my two plays. You can find both ours and my plays both on Twitter. You can find both of those on AKP Sports Talk. That is our Twitter down below. But that's going to do it for this episode of AKP Sports Talk. That's I'm Korea. Tomorrow we're going to have an absolutely loaded. Obviously, we're going to have all of our best bets for the opening rounds Thursday, Friday. We're going to have our best bets for the remaining the first 4. Obviously, we may even have some baseball. Obviously, the game obviously is Wednesday morning, so we're not going to have anything for Wednesday, but we may have stuff for Thursday. We'll see what happens on Wednesday, but just peep that, of course. But that's going to do it for this episode. That's I'm Korea. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will see you guys tomorrow for an absolutely loaded episode of a bunch of college basketball. See you guys tomorrow.